right, so we're here today to just do a little quick chat about how to have difficult conversations, kind of the importance of difficult conversations. Just to introduce both of us, I am Allison KT, and I am a boundaries coach with a background in psychology and conflict transformation. I am also very energetically aligned and do EFT tapping as well as Reiki. And one of my most favorite things to do is to help people pleasers, empaths, highly sensitive folks, conflict avoiders, figure out how to have difficult conversations because difficult conversations are so necessary sometimes, and they don't always feel like the easiest to have. And I wanted to do this live today with Kara, who's a divorce coach, for those of you from my audience coming in. And so, Kara, I'll pass it to you to just tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So yeah, I'm Kara. I am a former divorce attorney turned divorce coach. I am also a divorce survivor. I am no stranger to being conflict avoidant, being a people pleaser. That was definitely a huge chapter in my life, which I slowly started to dismantle when I made the decision to get my own divorce. So currently as a divorce coach, I serve my clients with one-on-one services, and I can meet them anywhere along the journey, whether that is making the initial decision of whether they want to get divorced, to helping them prepare to take that leap, to negotiations with their spouse, and then all the way through rebuilding that next chapter. And that includes a lot of difficult conversations along the way.
Definitely, I imagine. And what a gift to have a companion through that journey. Like, I'm just imagining, like, were I ever in that situation, like having someone there to just support you has to be so incredible to your clients. So we'll get into a little bit more tips and things in a bit. And I want to encourage anyone watching, we'll be here about 15, 20 minutes. And you can drop questions if you've got them, and we'll grab them at the end. Or if you have questions after the fact and you want to reach out to either of us, we would be happy, I'm sure, to answer whatever questions you have. And so basically, I just want to get into a little bit of why I wrote this really quickly. Like we've talked about, being conflict avoidant, feeling other people's emotions. It can be super hard to like work yourself up to have that conversation, because there's so much question of like, how are they going to react? Are they going to yell? Are they going to get emotional? Am I going to get emotional? Are we going to is everything going to be ruined? Like, we can build up so much narrative in our heads of how the difficult conversation is going to go. And so I realized for myself a couple weeks ago, I had to have a difficult conversation, and being familiar with the nonviolent communication process, I was like, wait a second, what if I walk through this? What if I give myself some time to prepare for this conversation so that I can go into it feeling really confident and things can perhaps work out better? And they did. They worked out wonderfully. We parted, we left the conversation very amicably, everybody felt heard and supported. So that really is what led to the creation of this, was just kind of okay, I know that there are people out there who have to have difficult conversations and are not sure how to do it. So let's give them a guide. And so basically this guide takes you through the step-by-step process of figuring out what you want to communicate. And so, we start with the process of going through each step, and then I give space for journaling after. And Kara, I know you've seen the book too, so feel free to throw in any parts, and maybe I'll ask you about, what parts you particularly enjoyed. But just kind of as the overview, yeah, we go through what you noticed, how you feel, and, really what you want to see happen. And so it can just be that kind of great guide. So yeah, Kara, do you have any comments on the book? And then if you want to tell us perhaps how your clients could use this, the support process there, I would love to pass the mic to you.
Of course. Yes. And, I just want to first validate your experience in the past of gearing yourself up, kind of psyching yourself out to have a difficult conversation. And if you're anything like me, you were rehearsing it 50 times to yourself and then catastrophizing how it was going to be received. And so much energy physically and mentally and emotionally spent on kind of gearing ourselves up for these conversations. And there's definitely a more productive, more efficient way. And I think your book does an amazing job of outlining that. I know a lot of my clients who are going through divorce, who are wanting to communicate that decision to their spouse, there's so much emotion there. There's so much fear and anxiety about how that's going to shake out. It's a huge decision. And a lot of them are similar to you and I in that we have those people-pleasing and conflict avoidant tendencies. And so it just ramps it up even more. What I love about your book is that it provides the structure. So planning out the talk is something I do very, very frequently with my clients. And we try to build a structure as well. I think you've taken that structure to a super efficient level that I think would benefit my clients too. And it's really about having the parameters of that discussion in the back of your mind, preparing for it in advance, but not to the point where you're just like rehearsing and like trying to foresee worst case scenarios. It's more so getting really clear on how you want this conversation to go, controlling what you can control, which is, spoiler alert, only yourself, and being able to fall back on that structure if the emotions ramp up, which is very common in having the talk for divorce. So I think using your book with my clients, even like during our coaching sessions, to get super granular and clear about how they want this conversation to go, not only with their spouse, but maybe with their children, with their family, things of that nature, I think is just so helpful. And it's so inspiring that you created this. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I just wanted it to be this like, okay, here we go. And I love too that you mentioned, you know, you can use this time and time again, because it's not like, okay, we had one conversation and now everything is butterflies and rainbows for the rest of it. It's like, okay, you also are shifting things with other people and communicating to other people and all of that. And I want to just highlight, like, in your work, do you find people like struggling with that? Like, you did this great post the other day on the like almost permission of leaving an okay marriage, and it's like, you don't have to just settle in life, you can go after what you want. And I think that's also a piece of what the book hopefully gets at, is like, you can ask for what you want. So is that like a piece that you find coming up frequently with people in those discussions of like, ooh, do I deserve to ask for this? Like, is this okay? Like, could you speak to that a little bit?
Of course, yeah. Yes. So something that comes up along those lines is this fear of future regret, which I think kind of weaves into, if I make a mistake, I'm not going to be happy, or this could be a mistake, but I won't know that until I do it. And so that's where the fear comes in and really gets you feeling stuck. And yes, a lot of my clients, what I get from them is this sense of, you can't quite put your finger on it. It's intangible, but it's this search for just something more. And there's nothing wrong with their spouse per se. Their marriage is fine. It's okay. Theoretically, they could stay there for the rest of their lives. They're not in any sort of danger or harm. But there's just this feeling that something is not quite right. And it's hard to put your finger on. And really what I attribute that to is just your soul. That's your soul. That's your truth. Really trying to be heard, saying, this isn't how we want to live our lives. And we only get one of these. So what are we going to do about it? And a lot of my clients sometimes feel that that's not enough to justify getting divorced, especially if they have children. And so really working with my clients is trying to peel back those layers of where do these thoughts and feelings come from? How are they limiting you? Ideally, if you knew everything was going to work out okay, what would you do and what would it look like? And really starting to envision what that looks like, so that they can start to visualize that there is more than one way to live life. And once they can kind of see that, even if it's not real yet, that's kind of like their North Star, and it kind of carries them through.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, yeah, we don't have to settle. And like, there's all of those like, oh, it's okay, I could stay here, but I love, you know, you're so right. It is that soul piece that just comes through and is like, I deserve more though. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of the book, I think, is helping people tune into what they desire, which is the third piece of the 4 steps, where it's like, you're allowed to request what you want. Whenever I'm like working with clients, this is kind of always the part that blows their mind, where they're like, I can ask for that. Like, I'm allowed to tell my partner that I desire to like be romantically surprised this weekend. Like, yeah, you can ask for that. You can 100% ask for that. And it's like, yes, you can totally ask for separation, ask for divorce, even if, even if, from the outside looking in, people are like, oh, it's good. And you're like, yeah, it's okay. Like, no, you truly deserve to make those decisions and to make that request. Like, the quote I always use talking about that section with people is, what's the best that could happen? Like, right. What is the best possible outcome? What's the most beautiful situation you can envision? And it's like, you can take that energy with you into the conversation and then make a request. And like, that's just such a better, cleaner energy to go into the conversation with, instead of that, what we might have had previously with our conflict avoidant people pleasing, like, oh, they're going to yell, I'm going to cry, they're going to cry, I'm going to feel bad. Like, yeah, it's just like, if you're going in and you're like, this is actually going to be so good for our family, like, because we can both shine our brightest, and like, you can just truly see like this is what's the best that could happen.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love that. Spreading the love. You deserve to be in love with your life, everyone. Like, you don't have to settle.
And all of that, and you are only going to be getting divorced from this person one time. And so why not ask for what you want? Because you're not going to get a do-over. And if you don't ask, you'll never know. I've had several clients who are in the midst of negotiations, and their spouse will put forth a proposal like, I want this, this, and this. And they'll be like, well, I don't really, I don't know if I'm going to be happy with that. I don't know if I can live with that. But, he's got the upper hand. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Says who? And how do you know that they wouldn't agree to a different request? You haven't asked. And so it's like, don't ignore that. You gotta roll with it. It's all about, like you said, and like you outlined in your book, preparing to make that request in a way that is going to be at a higher resonating level of energy. And I know you and I are both IPEC grads. And so it's that concept of like, energy attracts like energy. So if you go into that feeling confident and open and positive, then there's a greater chance that it's going to be received in a similar way.
Totally. 100%. Like, yeah, you like invite them to rise to that with you. And I think that was also like a big point of the writing of this book, is that so much of our language and how humans just interact with each other, it can be very combative, or like it can be very, especially if our ego hasn't been heard, then our ego just like comes out and is like, you ruined everything. And it's like, okay, that's going to put them on the defensive. Their conversation isn't going to go as, powerfully as it could have. And you're totally allowed to feel like they ruined everything. Maybe just process that beforehand in section 2 of the book.
I love that section of your book where you're like, just let the ego fly.
Yeah, just let it out. Because that part of you, like, you need to be heard there. And then once you've tuned into that, you're able to communicate like, I feel hurt by this. It's like you're able to much more like clearly communicate your actual feeling rather than just the ego kind of freaking out. So huge part of it, and definitely a section in the book to dive into, because your ego's going to come out at some point. Let it be beforehand. Beautiful. Well, this has been just an absolute delight. I haven't seen any questions come in, but I would love to answer any that anybody has. If you're preparing for a difficult conversation, if you're in a relationship and kind of feeling like, I don't know, Kara can help you out. If you're trying to figure out that conversation, we've got the resource for you. And just, you deserve to have your voice heard. You deserve to speak your truth and to share powerfully. And so that is what this guide is all about. Kara, do you have anything you would like to say before we part ways?
I just want to reiterate again, everybody, how amazing a resource this is. Not only will I be recommending it to all of my clients, but I'm going to use it myself, because I still have to have difficult conversations, whether that's with my family or a friend or my current partner, or I should say my fiance. So like, this is not just for a certain, like one specific conversation in your life. This is very generally applicable to any sort of difficult conversation that you have to have in your life. So totally. I love it for that reason.
Yeah, and there's a clean copy. So it comes with a conversation template that you can use, and there's a copy at the end to come back to time and time again. And eventually, you might have this process kind of ingrained in your brain and able to kind of do it more in the moment. But yeah, excellent resource to come back to, because you're right. Difficult conversations come up, and this can be, just a great tool to handle them very powerfully, and to figure out what you actually want to say, so that you can communicate. So the link to buy the book, if you are interested, is in my bio. You can grab it there, and you can use Kara's code, Kara33, Kara 33, to save 33% on the book, if you are interested in getting a copy. It's an excellent resource. I'm so excited that it is out to the world to share with all of you, and I would love to hear what you think as soon as you grab your copy and start diving in to figure out how to have those difficult conversations.
Yes. Everyone check it out. I'll have the link in my bio as well. So everyone go grab it.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks, Kara, for coming to have this conversation. And we will see you all for another live tomorrow. I'll be going live on my own, talking about more of that like feelings piece, and getting into some of that, like how your feelings can help you notice what your desires are, and how like you can really connect those to make that request. So hope to see you all tomorrow. Grab the book and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.